Morgan Chesky here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where a day after a massive storm system made its way across the state of Oklahoma, we are just now seeing some of the serious damage left behind. And keep in mind, the neighborhood we are in right now wasn't even hit by a confirmed tornado, merely one of those waves of the storm system, one of several waves that's made its way through here from yesterday, overnight, and into the early morning hours. People here cleaning up as best they can ahead of some more upcoming storms. But to show you the sheer power of high winds and the saturated ground, look no farther than this tree right here. It would take 3 to 4 people linking arms to reach their way around this, and we're told by people that live nearby that they went to bed, they thought everything was okay, but around 6 o'clock this morning they heard that crash that was of this tree getting split in half from these high winds that made their way through here. Now, piece number 1 landed behind me into a gentleman's backyard. Look at how big that is. That's not even the entire tree. Now, piece number 2, whenever that broke off, it landed right here, toppling on top of this home, splitting it nearly in half. And beneath all that debris of what's left of the home, when that tree fell, there was a man standing in his kitchen, and he was pinned beneath his refrigerator, that tree on top of all of it. We spoke to Tulsa firefighters, and they tell us they had a crew here, but they think that that man may have been trapped beneath this very chunk of tree for the upwards of a better part of an hour before they were able to go in very carefully, get on top of the roof, locate the man first of all, and then very carefully get him out. They took him to a nearby hospital. Craziest of all, we're told that that man is expected to be okay today. No serious injuries, on his own power. Incredible when you see the size of this tree and the fact that it nearly split that entire home in half. So I want to make our way through the mud here. Keep in mind that in parts of Oklahoma, up to 9 inches of rain has already fallen, and that's just in the past 24 hours. They had another storm system that happened last weekend. So this ground, this saturated ground, is primed for flooding, and that's a major concern. But now that we're in the backyard, I wanted to give you this view. One tree falling on top of one home, and it looks like a bomb went off back here. You can see just drywall shredded to pieces. That man's bed now waterlogged from all the rain that's been falling since early this morning here. It's slowed down a little bit, but we have had consistent rainfall for going on at what seems to be about 12 hours now here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Feel free to have any questions to include them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. But if you're just now joining us, we are in a neighborhood in North Tulsa, and you are seeing the aftermath after one massive tree fell around 6 o'clock this morning as a result of high winds. This tree wasn't even knocked down by a confirmed tornado. This is just what happens here in Oklahoma when you have a ground that's had numerous days of rain. Yeah, you can see this other portion of the tree that fortunately fell into the backyard, but that heavy rain and the high winds enough to just tear this house apart and have people across this neighborhood picking up the pieces today. When you look at the state of Oklahoma, when the storm system made its way in, a lot of people in the Oklahoma City metro were spared because those storms fired off to the north of them, and North Oklahoma got the majority of that rain, and that's where we're seeing a lot of the flooding issues today. We're also seeing a flooding issue in the city of El Reno, which is about a half hour to the west of Oklahoma City. We know dozens of water rescues are being performed there today, and then across the top portion of the state, we're seeing a flooding issue in Stillwater, where the University Oklahoma State is rather, and so that's going to continue to be a major problem going forward, because keep in mind, it's raining on me as we're talking right now, and people here are trying to clean up. They're putting tarps over their roofs because they know that, as with all things Oklahoma, the weather is just going to keep on coming, and it could change at a moment's notice. And with more storms coming this potential weekend, it has a lot of folks here feeling uneasy, especially considering that when they see the damage left behind by a storm that, again, not even a confirmed tornado enough to destroy this house behind me and send this entire neighborhood into picking up the pieces mode, if you will. Any questions coming in right now, Bianca?
About any water rescues? They've been hearing a lot about that online.
Right. Lots of water rescues being reported all across the state of Oklahoma, but primarily the videos that we've seen coming in today have been centered around El Reno, as I mentioned, Stillwater, another community that's been heavily impacted, and then there's in and around Tulsa, there's low-lying areas that are especially prone to flooding right now. The good news to report there, some of the roads that have been blocked off and impassable due to water, that water is now starting to recede, but authorities are saying that roads could be blocked for not just hours but days as this storm system makes its way across and continues to drop even more rain in this area. What else?
People are wondering about injuries, deaths. I mean, have we
Right.
heard that much? Any reports on that?
Right now, no confirmed deaths as a result of this storm. There was a man who was in Enid, which is about an hour and change due north of Oklahoma City, that right as the storm system started to fire off, we're told he was struck by lightning. But he is expected to be okay. That's one of the main injuries we've heard so far. Keep in mind that people are going to have exposure related illnesses potentially if they're in floodwaters for a long period of time. But for the most part right now, there's been no serious injuries reported. And I think a lot of that is due in part to the fact that Oklahomans, they know the weather does not mess around here. If you drove around Oklahoma City yesterday as we did, everything was shut down. Schools were closed. Restaurants were closed. People were either at friends' houses that had storm shelters or they were in their own basements preparing to ride this storm out. And just merely taking that precaution, no doubt, saved a lot of people from being impacted by this storm. Maybe not necessarily tornadoes, but certainly the amount of flooding that can happen anywhere you have this much rainfall in such a short amount of time.
Do you know where the threat is going next? People are wondering where.
Right.
On alert.
Well, we do have meteorologists looking into this specific storm system as it makes its way to the northeast. So keep in mind that today, yesterday and today, Oklahoma took the brunt of it, North Texas and Kansas. Look for Arkansas, look for Missouri to have some of those storms pop off today as this afternoon picks up and that environment has that instability that causes these severe thunderstorms to kick off. I appreciate you joining us on this Facebook Live. I'm Morgan Chesky. Expect a full report tonight on NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.